Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Vox Markets for Thursday, the 28th of October. And one of the little rules that I like is to look for the opening breakout either side on a stock which is new to the market. In the case of Accelerate, I suppose the level there was around the £2 level back in July. The shares tracked sideways for all the time in between, but they've suddenly sprung to life and looks as though we're in a rising trend channel, which extends those particular lines that I had saved up from last time. Could see the shares hit around the £5 level. Obviously, rather difficult to work out where a stop loss should be, but I think people going to the stock there with such a narrow, small free float are probably not really concerned so much about levels of support or resistance, just looking for the situation as a potential multi-bagging situation. But at least £5 while we're above the £3.50 area should be a reasonable target, and shudder to think what the spread is there, but there we are. That's an interesting situation. But actually, the main reason for including it today was really the highlighting the initial break of support and resistance which we had back in July on Accelerate. Onto a stock which slightly puzzles me at the moment, just on the basis that we have Bitcoin going through the roof, but we have Argo Blockchain actually just bouncing along the bottom of recent support. So the lows back earlier this month around 111, and the low yesterday 112. So I suppose it's a higher low, which is a win. But given where Bitcoin is and where it was the last time the shares were at their highs over £2 or £3, then the shares are rather low. But at least while we're above the £1.10 area, looking for a return to the 50-day moving average level around £1.33. That's the blue line there, and that line of resistance from last month. So maybe a little near-term trade for the bulls on that situation. Something of a stock which has been sort of stuck in a range over the recent past is Chariot Gold, and here you can see that we had attempts by the shares to push to higher, but we got resistance there around the 24p level, just below the 200-day moving average. So really that has to break. The positive here, though, are the higher lows versus the August support there around 20p. We had around 21 last month and around the same level this month. So it could be the start of a change in the run-up to the arrival of the CEO early in the new year. On to Deep Verge, which continues to turn itself around after having a few stones thrown at it. Actually, stones were thrown around the 20p level, which obviously wasn't a great place to throw stones, given that that's been the support for the shares. Previously drew a broadening triangle on the daily chart. That's one from back in May. Top of that triangle heading towards 44p. We could see that as soon as the end of the month, if we get a decent weekly close above the 200-day moving average at 30p, above 30, looking for 44 on Deep Verge pretty quickly, given the sharp rebound and the unfilled gap to the upside that we had for the shares last week. That's a bear trap gap reversal and bullish divergence there, so that does suggest there's decent momentum behind the shares at long last. Stock where we're waiting, still waiting for sale news is Eurasia Mining, and here the situation is interesting that we've had a near-term bear trap. So yesterday there was a bear trap below the late September support for the shares. That was around 20 3/4. We went just below 20p, and as is typical, actually, to have a bit of a rug pull before some news comes out. Current situation is that it's perhaps interesting we haven't traded higher than up 10%, given how strong the RNS was today. But at least while we're above that resistance line there around the 22p level on an end of day close basis, we could see higher prices initially up towards 27p, but if we can clear that area of the 200-day moving average relatively quickly, then a retest of last month's resistance towards the upper 30s could be on the cards. If we're trying to work out what the sort of trajectory is here, then it's probably something along the lines of an uptrend line there from back at the end of August, and then an upper parallel on that line going through towards the 40p plus area, sort of rising trend channel from back in May. But need to clear the mid-20s, obviously, for Eurasia at the moment. Onto a stock which was Something of a favourite a little while ago when it broke through the resistance around 1.25 pence. Made great progress for GS Technology since their beautiful retest yesterday of old resistance as new support. So that's around 2.25 pence. And the view now is that we're just waiting for an end of day close through the initial October resistance at 3.2 pence. Above that, we could be seeing a move to the top of the rising trend channel from start of the year, as high as 4.25 pence, and perhaps as soon as the end of next month. Moving along to iNexus, where we've had the first sign of positivity this week since June, when the shares peaked out near 15 pence. The other plus point, I suppose, after breaking that line of resistance from September and the 200-day moving average at 5.75 pence, is the rather large bullish divergence there. It was a lower low for October, but the RSI much higher than it was in September. So that should carry us with decent momentum, technical momentum, heading towards the top of that rising trend channel, maybe as high as 10 pence by the end of this year. And if we're lucky, by the end of this month. So that's nice to see a decent base building situation, or apparent base building situation, for iNexus Global. On to Microseg, which seems to have got some of the pixie dust from the announcement by Deep Verge today. Here we've got a situation where still bumping along the bottom. We've got a line of support, falling a line of support there from back in May. That's running at 0.17. And I suppose here really the question is, what do we need to do to turn that trend around? The minimum here probably now is an end-of-day close above 0.19 to take us up to at least the 200-day moving average of 0.23. So that would be a much better look for the shares. If you're more fussy and want to see more sign of a recovery, then breaking 0.24 there and that line of resistance from July would do the trick. But obviously that would give away a lot of the initial upside. So probably looking for a break of the 50-day line, 0.19, should do the trick there. On to a stock which was one of the heroes of last year in quite a big way, despite the efforts of some cynics, I suppose. But here we've got Novosit, and the situation here is that, yes, the breakdown for the share still hasn't finally gone away, but we do have some bullish divergence here. So lower lows of the last couple of days, new lows for October, have been met with a higher RSI trace, and that suggests that there could be something of a turnaround here. Best case scenario, I suppose, at this point would be a return to the 50-day moving average area around £3.15, but most would settle for a retest of the low 290s, which is October resistance to date. So let's call it above 250, looking for the low 290s on Novosit at the moment. Couple of stocks to go. Another one which has had a bit of a tough time in the recent past, Polarian, rug pulled by the FDA, I believe, from memory. Current situation, again, it looks as though we're trying to bottom out here. The low at the beginning of the week, there at 57 pence. Above that, there's a chance of a move back to the mid to upper 70s. But obviously we want to see an end of day close above 63 pence, which was the high of last week. That would just help us build confidence, which might get that today, or obviously a weekly close tomorrow. Finishing off with a stock which did rather well earlier in the year, but then got a bit of negative attention on the bear side. Here we've got a situation for Euro Metals, where old support there around £2.34. Current situation is we've got a slightly higher, or a much higher support today versus 190 than we had yesterday. So the low £2, and above £2. There's a chance of a break of the recent resistance around £2 to £2 to £2.40, and maybe that would snap the breakdown that we've had from £5.50, which was obviously quite a good run in its own right. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.